Hi there, it's Jen from modernmedicinelady.com and the Empathic Mastery system. The word of the day is Kryptonite. So yesterday I was talking about how I'd been sensing a disturbance in the field for over a week and how my nature is to shut down and that it's been just a difficult week. Now I will say that the consensus coming back with every comment has been, oh yeah, I've been feeling it too. And so far, pretty much everybody I've talked to has been sensing something. So bottom line, I think right now it's really important that we focus on self-care, on staying as calm and grounded as possible, and buckle up buttercup because God only knows what's coming next. But I wanted to share something with you about something that I did not help the situation for me. And that is that I inadvertently exposed myself to a kind of empathic kryptonite. Now, one of the things I found over the years is that there are certain things that I'm really sensitive to. And stones and minerals and like crystals are one of the things that affect me. Some of them in a very positive way, as you can see, all kinds of quartz all behind me that I absolutely love, that I find very stabilizing, that I find very clarifying, that I find very supportive and like literally kind of enlightening, and that I feel more light within me when I'm around a lot of quartz. But there are other stones that I find affect me in different ways, and some of them are very intense in the way that they open me up. And so one of those stones is fluorite. Now, wouldn't you know that last Monday, as I was starting to feel all this intensity, I had made the decision to put a pair of fluorite plugs in my ears. Now, normally I either wear, you can see I've got labradorite in right now. Normally I wear either labradorite or lapis or just plain glass. But for some reason, I was wearing something that the fluorite was going to look good with, so I was like, I want to wear the fluorite. And then I put them in, and I just didn't even think about it. And it wasn't until this weekend when I suddenly realized I'd been wearing fluorite in my ears for days and days. So I went upstairs, took them out, and wouldn't you know, within a few hours, I started to feel much calmer, way less agitated, way less sensitive. I started to feel like I wasn't just getting bombarded by all the energy that was coming in at me. And I was thinking about how, for those of us who are highly sensitive and empathic, stones like fluorite and some other stuff, which are sort of psychic enhancers and openers, it's more like where an ordinary person could go and pick up that stone, and it would be like going over to the garden hose or the garden spigot and turning it on and getting a trickle of water. So it's giving them some of that support that they need to be able to open themselves up. But for people who are already open and already sensitive, and particularly have a hard time maintaining good solid shields and filters, the problem with this is that it's not like going over to the garden spigot and turning it on and having a little trickle coming out of the hose. It's like going over to a fire hydrant and taking a wrench to it, and suddenly, bam, you're getting just blasted with information and energy and intensity. And what is challenging is that when you look around for information about psychic management, a lot of the times all that information is talking about opening, not necessarily talking about how do we protect ourselves. And so I wasn't even thinking about this when I put the fluoride into my ears, but I can honestly say I really felt the impact of this. Now, this is one of the forms of kryptonite that I, as a sensitive person, have found over the years. A couple other forms of kryptonite that I found are, one, sugar. Sugar is something that I have discovered again and again and again impacts me deeply. Not only does it blow out my filters and shields, it also affects me very much emotionally. It turns my mood really dark and black, and it affects my blood sugar and it affects my hormones. So if I'm consuming any amount of sugar beyond the smallest amount of like 85% chocolate, what happens to me, and I'm talking like a couple squares, what happens to me is that I go into these places of intense fear, starting to just see the world through a glass darkly and getting very, very uncomfortable. So I've found for myself that even though it tastes yummy and I get giddy for a little while when I use it in the first place, the price is so not worth it. And I am so much better off when I stay away from and pretty much abstain almost entirely from processed sugar. And even I'm very mindful of things like honey and maple syrup and any other kind of sweetener, just because it affects me so, all sugar affects me fairly strongly. So that's another kind of kryptonite for me. Another one that I have noticed, and I especially when I was younger was really sensitive to, was fluorescent tubing. And being in places where fluorescent lights are vibrating, especially if they're kind of like the ballast is off and the light has got that kind of like really, really almost imperceivable buzz going on with it. That's another thing that I find really affects me and that I need to be aware of, because it can really upend me and make me feel very disoriented. Now, I know people who are also affected deeply by Wi-Fi, by electromagnetic frequencies, by any number of other stones. I could go on and list a number of different ones that certainly I've noticed can impact me. I would say my top three are fluorite, rhodochrosite, and malachite are all very intensely opening stones, whereas smoky quartz and labradorite and I'm just thinking like even like jasper and agate, those are things that I find more calming and grounding and soothing for me. So I could go on and on about kryptonite, but my question to you right now is, what do you find is your empathic kryptonite? What have you noticed, if you're around it for too long, really impacts you, really affects you, kind of takes down your filters and shields and makes you more susceptible, more vulnerable, more open? And if you're not already aware of this, maybe just really noticing when you're having these kinds of moments, where you're having these kinds of experiences, what is it that you did differently, say within the last, 24 hours before, or even a couple days before? Were there any things you got exposed to? Was there anything you ate? Was there anything that you suddenly were breathing in or wearing in your clothing? Just really thinking about, what did you do differently, and is there something that maybe you put on, or you inhaled, or you consumed, or you were just in the vicinity of, that could be affecting you? So I would love to hear what you have to say about all of this. Please leave a comment below. And until next word of the day, I'm wishing you peace. I am wishing you ease. And I'm wishing you, one, the ability to know what your kryptonite is, and two, the ability to stay the ever-living F away from it. So, in the meantime, if you're interested in finding out where you fall on the highly sensitive and empathic spectrum, please go to my quiz, What's Your Empathic Type, at empathicwoman.com. When you take that quiz, you can then sign up to get the Empath Sensitivity Report, and you'll automatically be signed up to receive my mini course, which basically goes through the first steps of really finding more empathic safety. So I'd love for you to go over there, and also please help me get the word out. Please like this video, please share it, and pass it along to other people who find it useful. Thank you so much, and until tomorrow, peace.